What's up everyone, it's Colton. Welcome back. I apologize for my lack of videos lately. I've been super busy with school and homework and stuff like that. Today I wanted to talk about college, my expectations coming into college, like what it was going to be like, what I thought it was going to be like, and also the reality of it. I also wanted to give some advice to make it a more manageable and enjoyable experience. So I came into college expecting it to be more meaningful work, but the first year or two is typically more general classes that don't always necessarily apply to your major. So those can be not as interesting sometimes because it's not necessarily what you want to do, but they can be an enjoyable experience if you have the right teacher and also you choose something that you are more interested in. Another thing I came into college expecting was more freedom, and you definitely get it. In my case, I'm staying in an apartment, so I don't have a certain time I need to be back, and I can go out and do stuff, whether it be go get food late at night or study at the library until 2 in the morning if I have to. But also you get to schedule your own classes, which it isn't like that in high school, at least in my experience. With choosing your own classes, you definitely have a lot more freedom to control your schedule, whether it be to have all morning classes or all afternoon classes. I definitely recommend having more morning classes and getting your classes out the way, because if you do that, you have more time in the afternoon, whether you go to the gym, play sports, or just like hanging out, playing video games, stuff like that. If you don't necessarily like waking up too early in the morning, I just recommend getting them out of the way as soon as possible so you're not staying in class till 7 o'clock at night. There are some labs and stuff like that where you can avoid staying in class late because those usually last about 2 or 3 hours. But other than that, I just say get them out of the way as soon as possible. I wasn't exactly sure what to expect coming into college about studying. You hear a lot that it takes a lot more studying and you need to put more time into your schoolwork in college, and that typically is true. I generally spend about an hour and a half a day working on homework. But there are some weeks, some days that you don't have as much homework, you don't have as much to study for, and I recommend just enjoying the downtime because when you are studying, it's super boring. But I do recommend actually studying and not trying to procrastinate on studying because that's very easy to do. It's easy to find other things to do, but your schoolwork will suffer from it. So you definitely need to stay on top of things. And college is a lot easier if you get stuff done early and you stay on top of things and don't let stuff pile up, because if you don't, it's going to feel like so much at one time and it's just going to stress you out a lot. Another thing I recommend, if at all possible, is spreading out your more difficult classes and the ones you expect to take the most time individually, because it'll definitely help you plan out your time and not have to focus on too much at once. Because if you're taking too many difficult classes at one time, it definitely will put a lot more stress on you because you have more things to focus on and you'll have to study for each of them. And when you're studying for one of them, you have to worry about the other one as well. So I recommend spreading them out if you can do that. But if you can't, then I recommend having some sort of organized schedule in which you have a set aside time for studying one thing and then for the other one, and just focus on whichever one you have more work in at the time. Some semesters in college will be more difficult just because you can't get different classes at different times. So I recommend trying to spread them out as much as possible. And if you do have a harder semester, just study a little bit more and set aside more time for studying, and it definitely should be able to work out. Your major is definitely important in college because it determines what classes you take and obviously what you're going to do. But don't worry about if you have to change your major for like the first year, even the second year. Usually try to do it in the first year if you aren't sure what you want to do specifically. But if you change it in the first year, it's not going to set you back too far. You usually will only be taking general classes the first year anyways. So I recommend definitely trying to figure out what exactly you want to do when you get to college and not waiting too long if you are going to switch your major. Lastly, I want to talk about college life outside of class. For the first year, your freshman year, typically you're required to stay in a dorm, and dorms are definitely interesting. You meet a lot of new people, different kinds of people, and there's definitely a lot going on, but there's not much privacy, which if you're a more introverted person like I am, you enjoy alone time sometimes, but in a dorm you don't usually get that, so that's a downside of it. But outside of dorms, I recommend getting involved in other stuff like clubs and intramural sports, because it definitely keeps you busy and it's enjoyable stuff to keep your mind off of school when you're not trying to stress out about it, and it helps keep you active physically, which is always a good thing. Another thing that's really good to get involved in is either co-ops or internships. They help you secure a job after school and get you experience in the things that you want to do. I definitely recommend doing it because you'll get paid as well as getting the valuable work experience. Overall, college is a great experience. I definitely recommend not stressing about anything too much. Making new friends is always good, and to stay in control of your work, and it definitely is a lot more manageable than people make it seem. You can have a good time and enjoy college while still having good grades. Thank you for watching, and if you have any recommendations for future commentary topics, I definitely would like to know, so put it in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.